Hello folks, today we have the distinct pleasure of welcoming a prominent figures in Thai politics. คุณจักรภพ Penkair, a former Minister of Prime Minister's Office at คุณสมัครสุนทรเวช when he was a Prime Minister of Thailand. Let's explore the strategic vision of the Pheu Thai party as it moves forward with prominent leaders like Paetongtarn Shinawatra sharing its direction. Please join me in welcoming our guest, คุณจักรภพ Penkair. As I mentioned, my beloved audience, sitting next to me, the former government spokesman, Mr. Jakrapob Penkair. สวัสดีครับ
สวัสดีครับ
A pleasure to have you with our show today.
My pleasure also.
Okay, for those who probably not familiar with your face, but your name, could you please introduce yourselves, who you really are and how have you been?
Well, I would say a relic in the
Not
world
relic. That's too old.
of the politics.
Okay.
You know, I started as a journalist, became college professor, and then entered the world of politics about 20 some years ago. And when I entered politics, it was almost the peak of the first Thaksin administration. So I think you could imagine how, a roller coaster it could be at the time. I got engaged in some positions, government spokesman, as you mentioned, Deputy Secretary General to the Prime Minister for Mr. Thaksin in the second term. And then in the government of Mr. Samak Suntarawet as Prime Minister, I was Minister attached to Prime Minister's office, or as the later called, Minister of the Prime Minister's office.
Okay.
Yes.
But it didn't go well.
Well, in terms of experience, is unprecedented. You couldn't ask for any course like that.
Okay.
Yes, full of surprises and crises and unexpectations. You didn't know what would happen one day to the next. But in the bright side, it brought out your best quality. Otherwise, you wouldn't survive. So I look back with pleasure somehow.
Okay.
After a while, I put everything in perspective and I see life as an ongoing, for lack of the better word, snapshots.
Okay.
It's not exactly a movie, but, continuous snapshots, you see. So there are some memories in each one of the segments, but when you put them together, you string them together, they became a story. And that story I always recall with pleasure,
Okay.
Which is the story of Thailand that I got involved
And
somehow.
Would you write a book to tell
Oh, I
all
would
the
like
stories
to.
of your life?
I consider myself a writer.
Yes.
Good or bad does not matter. Yes, I write about it, but for political memoirs, I have to wait a while because the names to be mentioned are alive and living. So
Maybe wait and
people,
see.
yeah,
Wait for a little while.
some may have some reservation about what I have to say. So,
Okay.
but yes, after a while I would.
Okay, but for those years that you were away, what did you do exactly to
In
live
those
your life? Yeah.
days in exile?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't mention that I was in exile for 15 years. The first 5 years, I spent time thinking about fighting back.
Okay.
Yes,
Understandable.
I left with grudges and with anger, with unfinished business, the kind of sentiment. The next 5 years, I realized that I might stay a little bit longer than I thought. So I started to invest in some business, found some jobs for myself and for my team, both in Thailand, in those particular countries that I moved to. But the last 5 years were the most crucial ones because it brought me to a thinking and rethinking about my own strategy and my approach to the whole crisis, and have decided, to cut it short, to reconcile. I think that I look at the wrong way. It's an equation of the two sides, the have and the have-nots, and I try to battle with the haves. When the have has everything, from wealth to power,
Yeah.
And the have-not doesn't have anything. So why don't I look at the have-nots and try to use all the political means to help them, to upgrade them, to elevate them. And when they're ready, they will decide their own political future. I don't have to script for them, you see. I have spent some years thinking in the wrong way. So let's say in the past 15 years, it ranged from grudges to new thinking.
Okay.
Yeah.
And for the empty half, have you succeeded to helping them already?
Not yet, because I just came back half a year. So I consider myself to be in the process of rethinking and re-educating or absorbing, whatever you use it, about Thailand. You see, you are away. You can see what happened. You can Google it. You can browse it. But sometimes you don't understand it until you're there. You can smell, you can touch. And I would use the word absorb. In Thai, we might use sim sap, you see. In other words, like a sponge, trying to absorb things which are around it. And probably in another 6 months or half a year, I give myself a year for this kind of retraining and re-education. I think I'll be ready to, pursue the course of helping people as I see fit.
According to your return, now that you're here, so are you really into the politics still?
Oh, yes. The first half that you ask, yes, very much so. I'm very political. The reason that I changed from a journalist and a professor to a politician, knowing all the blemishes and all the risk it brings, because I want to have the whole process realized in myself. In other words, I want to do everything that I could. To complete the whole process of, let's say, policy or power implementation. That's a short answer. That's why I want to remain in politics. But the second half that you asked is, where would I place myself, or where would I be placed? That's too soon to say. But it looks like my first encounter or re-encounter with Thai politics would be in the area of maybe, political communications, to start with. But my real love, my real interest are the policy implementation.
Okay.
In other words, I have some dream projects that I wish I could use the political process to materialize them.
Okay.
Yeah.
And which policy exactly that you would like to push
Well, thank
and
you.
to make it happen, and then it will fulfill your desire?
I hope you have 2 hours.
Okay, just like in brief for me.
Content. Table of content.
Yeah.
One, I would like to have some comprehensive policy about aging society.
Okay.
Because Thailand, as any other countries, we have aging generations.
But we are still poor.
People who are, people who stay longer, healthier, but without income.
Yes.
And the working people prefer to have less children.
Like me.
So you can see the equation start to shift it,
Yes.
to be shifted. In other words, who would be responsible for the budgeting for the people who stay older, which is something we should see as a blessing, right? Not as a curse. But if they stay longer, healthier, without income, and the society become, intense because of it, then it's not a blessing, it's a curse. So the policy have to be put down now to do something about it. For example, I would like to ask the society to allow me to test. For example, I believe the people at 60 are no longer old.
Yes.
They're like new, less young people, whatever you call it. So in other words, generally speaking, probably they can work from 60 until maybe 70 or even 75, you see, if they prefer so, on the willingness basis. Why don't we try to retrain them to do something else?
Okay.
They may want to change their life, and do something interesting for them, or their dreams when they were young, but benefit to them and to the society. The government has to start that because some infrastructure has to be put down.
Okay.
That's one. The second, I prefer very much. I'm from the field of foreign policy, so I would like to see some border provinces in Thailand being elevated into what I would call regional cities.
Regional city.
Yeah. You see, Thailand is among 4 connected countries.
Okay. We're in the middle.
Myanmar here, Laos, Cambodia, and Malaysia. But no immediate border provinces are prepared for the transaction, for the migration, for the exchanges between countries. And all countries are growing, getting bigger.
Okay.
In other words, I just mentioned one, like the Myanmar side, we have Mesot in Tak, which was declared actually special economic zone but nothing was done to it except a plague.
Okay.
There's no special thing about it. So when there was a situation in Myanmar and people tried to migrate, legally or illegally, Mae Sot has no capacity to welcome them, to accept them. And these people could be engineers and teachers. Of course, we have to offer jobs to Thai people first. We cannot see other people to be better than Thai.
Okay.
But some jobs, even Thai people do not want to do, or we prefer to do something else. And these people try to be in that area and such. I would like to see some provinces or some cities being improved, or how would I say, developed it into the capacity of welcoming the international minded Thais who want to do business in the regional way without having to leave the country.
Okay.
Or leaving Thailand just for a short ride and come back, you see. A new economy. Because as you know, the globalization is not realized. Almost gone now. So what we have left is called regional economy. The Thailand has to be preparing some of our places for it.
Okay.
Let's say, except Bangkok, probably Phuket is at another place, which we can, wholeheartedly call international cities. But what else, Then we have to develop them into it. So that, just to mention the two.
Yeah, but
my dream projects.
Yeah,
yes.
that's kind of cool. But you might need to convince so many people.
Yes.
It needs to be invest a lot.
That's politics.
To those,
that's
to those
politics.
provinces.
Politics is not a solo job.
Yes.
Politics is to convince people.
Okay.
That's why some politicians concentrate on being liked or being loved by people, because they thought that they need those love. For me, yes, I want to be liked or loved, but more than that, I want to be listened to. I want to be heard, so I can convince them with my logics and my proposals. But of course, I have to decide jointly with them. It's not only my country; it's their country as well.
So why didn't you try to be with the government right now?
Oh no,
with the official position.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I think it's too soon.
Too soon.
I think it's too soon because, as I answered you earlier, that I need time to absorb the little things which matter in Thailand. So if I jump into any positions too soon, maybe I can do more damage than good.
How about the policies or the idea of moving our capital city, Bangkok, to somewhere else? That's a big deal, but people have been talking about for a while.
I remember during the Thaksin administrations, one or two, I don't remember exactly, we conceived that idea. And it's no longer a secret that the preferred choice at the time was Nakhon Nayok.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, if you remember. And we started to talk about that more seriously as time went by in every level of policy making in Thailand, because it affected everybody. So it almost became true. I believe that there was a coup first as such, so we didn't entertain the idea. Yes, the idea has merit, but if you ask me personally, I think to move the whole capital city to someplace else may be more complicated and more, probably less cost effective than having Bangkok at one same place and extend it around to other provinces around. Actually, it is like that in practice. Chiang Sao, Nonthaburi, Samut Prakan, Pathum Thani are considered part of Bangkok already, Bangkok metropolitan.
Yes.
But we may consider expanding them, since the infrastructure, the systems are made for the, let's say, the suburb of these provinces, which are connected to Bangkok. If we enlarged it, or we expand it all around, or in the direction that we strategize for, maybe it might be cost effective. Maybe it could cover more areas, that we can relocate some government agencies, for example, to be there, or some real estate people might calculate that it might be a good prospect to be there first, and then build it back, with the markets and schools, universities, and communities emerging, along the way. But yes, I agree with the idea of changing the status quo of the capital city, which is Bangkok metropolitan. But I doubt it if I can read anything feasibly, that we should really move it away from Bangkok completely.
Okay, maybe not now.
But Bangkok has a problem, yes. I
Yes.
mean, you raised the right point. And some parts of Bangkok are beyond repair.
Yeah.
They are made to be that way, like the size of the street and things like that. And then to expand it is a part of expanding the glory and the prosperity of the country as a whole. Why not?
Yeah, because many people are scared of the rising of seawater as well.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. And the other policy that right now is about to happen in reality is not a bill anymore. It's right now an act. So the Equal Marriage Act.
Oh.
That will be enacted
Yes,
soon,
yes.
in perhaps within 100 days.
It's
from
a
now.
law already.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
a law already.
So, yeah. And
It's
it
a big deal.
affected you directly. I
Yes.
could say. So how do you feel about this?
Jubilant,
Turbulence. Wow.
proud,
Okay.
and really positive minded. We are the first country in Southeast Asia
Yeah,
to
exactly.
embrace the full-fledged law like that. How not I be proud of that? But the point is, it is also a test that when we have the equal term in everything, now LGBTQ and the equal marriage, then it's a test of the social reactions and of the behavior of the LGBTQ people themselves, including myself and my spouse, that we can really use that law to prove to the society that we can even do more and more and more. I think it's a good test, and it shows that Thai society has a lot of tolerance and understanding, and I believe economically it would be good for investment. Not only that, but people would see that this country is tolerant.
Yeah.
It's not rigid. It's
Okay.
not a closed-minded place. Some people like that. They feel that if they are broad-minded about this, probably they are more flexible and more understandable or understanding about economic activities.
Can you can we focus on our new prime minister?
Oh, all right.
Are you used to be close to her family?
Uncle JP.
Okay. So when was the last time you talked to Miss
Probably
Paetongtarn?
probably a year or two.
Whoa, that
Yeah.
long?
Yes, because she was not, in my last 5 years I stayed in Dubai,
Yes.
along with the former Prime Minister Thaksin, her father. We were not together, but close enough. And when she came in town to visit her father, I usually was, invited to join them. That's why I
Okay.
met, the current Prime Minister.
Okay.
The last time was about a year or two. I don't
Okay.
remember exactly. In Kun Thaksin's birthday party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Whether she's ready or not, she is now our biggest leader, the national leader of Thailand.
The chief, yes.
Yeah, the chief. So do you have any concern about her position right
Oh
now?
yes. I have seen at least 3 prime ministers up close, so I know what it takes to be a good one. I think prime minister, especially of Thailand, requires a lot of patience, a lot of stamina, a lot of perseverance, and a lot of tactics to be used. In other words, the prime minister has to be able to seek help or seek resources of knowledge, of data, information, whatever, to get her or him to make the best decision possible. So it's a hard job in itself. So for Kun Paetongtarn as prime minister, as you know that she's a young one, and being young is not a wrong thing. It's even the right thing for the moment. But being young doesn't mean that you have seen everything. Sometimes it's the opposite. So she has to realize that and try to equip herself with the help that she needs, probably more than
Okay.
other prime ministers. That's what I see.
And what is the great challenges to
For her?
right now at this kind of situations?
I would say even before the economy is the emotional society that Thailand has become.
Yeah.
Because before you can talk about inflation, you have to handle people's emotions.
Yes.
reporters' emotions, people's emotions, and the Prime Minister's emotions. And don't forget, it's a coalition government.
Okay.
So she has to reconcile between parties in the government as well. So there are many reconciliations she has to do. So I believe that to maintain stability, emotionally to administratively, would be the first job.
Okay.
And the second job probably is the economic activities that people can feel. I emphasize on the part that people can feel, because Thai people, as I came back to, are in a quite desperate situation. I think people became much poorer than before I left it. I left it, it was a very bleak political time, but economically, we were not so concerned at the time, if you remember. But I came back this time, I found it regressive. I mean, the whole economy, meaning that people who work the same job benefit less than before. People who still have jobs do not have any security or confidence that they would hold those jobs for long. Or the new competitors, the chat GPT kind of application would take jobs away from them and wait for the government to do something about it, to prevent it or to have the antidote for it. All of these are pressing issue.
Okay.
If I were her or her government, I would not only walk there, I would run to it.
Okay. It's people emotions.
Yes.
Because people are
Number one, you have to pass that.
Yeah. People are emotional because they have expectations.
Yes.
So
yes.
what can we be expecting from our new Prime Minister? So what should we expect from her?
Well, she grew up in a business family during the political conflicts. So I believe that she can derive from that the knowledge of how to do the best job under pressure.
Okay.
You see? Because someone said, I don't remember who, that you can test a person with pressure.
Yes.
Some people are good and well, but when pressure is applied to them, they couldn't take it. Or some stable-looking people became unstable because of the pressure. So I believe that the Prime Minister probably became more well-prepared than most people when it comes to this kind of pressure. She saw it. She was in it. She has been in it. The second thing is that because of her young age, I believe that she can optimize that position by appealing to the older ones.
Oh.
I mean, when you are grandfathers or grandmothers or parents, you have some sympathy for the children.
Okay. They adore her.
Yes, they adore her, and then you want to lend your experience or helping hand to her, but it depends on her how she asked for it.
Okay.
And for the people who are younger than her, would be seeing her as a sister.
Okay.
So if she can create this kind of atmosphere, she would be giving help. But of course, Prime Minister cannot play a nice girl, a nice boy all the time. You have to be decisive. Sometimes you have to be cruel.
Fierce.
You be fierce.
Yes.
So the balance between those sentiments has to be done. I'm so focused on how a leader conduct herself or himself, because if you do not pass that first test, there's nothing else.
And can she balance all those gap of generations?
She has to do it, and she can do more. I cannot tell her what to do, but if I were her, I would admit to myself what I know, what I don't know. What help do I need to make this job better? For the younger people, I would not go in there with the feeling that the young generations do not support her. Some people say that Pheu Thai is actually old people party, and the new generation don't support Pheu Thai, but they go for Prak Prachachon, People's Party. I don't think that anyone should go into politics with that mindset. The mindset has to be that everyone is under the same responsibility and the same government. They like us or not, that's not even the point. The point is we are responsible for them, you see.
All.
Yes,
Okay.
and then if we do the right job, maybe they like us more.
Okay.
People who don't like us now.
Okay. To be honest, are you concerned about seeing our new Prime Minister, the young Prime Minister, when she has to sit among all the global leaders, or even in ASEAN countries' leaders. She has to be there and surrounded by those who has more experience than her.
As I told you, it depends on how she would make use of that
Okay.
situation. For example, if Prime Minister Paetongtarn turned to, let's say, Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim,
Okay.
who could be her grandfather by age,
Yes.
and appealed to the experience and talked about what the Prime Minister has learned,
Okay.
in those long time. Because that Prime Minister was also imprisoned, prosecuted and, misunderstood for so many years before coming back to politics and became Prime Minister at the much older age than he planned for. So that one alone has a lot to share. In other words, I believe that if anyone would approach another person with a learning approach, I think we can do a lot of things. But of course, it's not Thailand learning from Malaysia. It's one person learning from another to use for the best interest of Thailand.
Okay. If our Prime Minister were to ask to you directly, let's say,
Yes.
Uncle Jakrapob,
Yeah.
it's about time that I need you to be in our cabinet to help me side by side. What would you say?
I say yes.
For now?
I say yes.
Okay.
Yeah. If say yes now, I go now.
Okay. And if you could...
No. The point is this: I'm not so hot in taking anything. That's not my ambition now.
Okay.
But I am hot in wanting to do something.
All right.
I would either do here or there.
You still have
It doesn't
passion.
matter to me.
Yeah.
I was there myself in the cabinet. I understand the good side of it, the limitation of it. I think I understand. So if I play this role, talking to you, I can be quite free.
Okay.
And you allow me to be even freer. But when I am in the cabinet, or I'm back in the cabinet, then I have to know that I have some scope, I have some parameter that I have to observe.
Okay.
That's all. But there I would have direct power.
If you were to choose one position
Yes.
in even Pheu Thai party or in the government,
Yeah.
so what would it be?
I think that any position that could affect as many people as possible, I would like that.
Okay.
I would like that because I like to see the lives of Thai people being improved in many ways. But if it is my own, I don't know what to say, expertise, my own familiar themes, I would go for political communications or public relations or identity of the government, the cultural works of it, or even in foreign policy. But of course, I'm not trying to imply that it relates to any position because it might cause some misunderstanding. I just say that one day, if I'm given a chance, the areas that I know best would be something I can do more.
Okay, we will see in the near future, probably. And let's talk about foreign affairs, foreign policy.
Yes.
So right now, we know about the concerns of the geopolitics, whether
Yes.
between the US and China, or the Ukraine, Russia, or even in the Middle East.
Yes.
So which sides of the world, which conflicts in those particular area, which one should we concern the most? I mean, Thailand.
I would say, using Thailand as a center, Thailand center approach, I would refer to these following points. I would go to the reshaping of China
First.
right now.
Okay.
It's being reshaping itself. The emergence of India,
Emerging of India, okay.
the future or the near future situation in Myanmar.
Oh, that's a big
If,
concern.
let's say, if a new country would be emerging or even, autonomous zone would be created, approved by the UN, because it's 2,000 kilometers between
Yeah.
us
Borders, yeah.
and Myanmar. Excuse me. The crisis in Laos,
Okay.
economic crisis in Laos, the coming or the possible bubble problem in Cambodia,
Okay.
yeah, and then the role of Vietnam, because Vietnam and us are natural contenders. You see, we have good relationship, but we sell similar products.
Yeah, we
we
also
develop
compete,
similar merchandises. So, are we competing? Are we collaborating? Are we doing it together to enhance the scale, like we did with Malaysia, Indonesia on timber?
Yeah.
So there are many issues to talk about. For the superpower relationship, we have to observe, but we don't have to engage.
Okay.
I think this government has taken the right approach in saying that we would impose non-conflict or non-confrontational policies. In other words, Thailand will not ask for trouble.
So for the big picture,
Yes.
for those who have power in the world, so we should remain neutral.
We don't need to engage.
Okay.
Those who try to engage are mostly quite ambitious about wanting something more. I don't think we need anything more.
Okay.
What we need to do is to make the stable, collaborative system around us and make use of what we have. Do you know that we have the road complete now from India to Vietnam? Yes, the road that you can go from India to Vietnam directly.
Okay.
You can cycle.
Did
you
it
can
pass us?
Oh yes,
Okay.
yes, past every country.
Okay.
It's designed that way.
Okay.
But the fighting in Myanmar prevents it.
Yeah.
So let's say, you see, if Thailand, who has a lot of influence over the issue, can help calm down the situation in Myanmar, and this road can be used, you see how much change it would bring to the economy.
Yeah.
You can bring your own goods in your own car
Okay.
to sell in India or Vietnam, for
Yeah.
example. So when Vietnam builds something, it belongs to us as well.
Okay.
Because we can use it
Okay.
for our own goods.
Yeah. So we should handle through our relation around our country.
This is
first.
something that I want to do. If I'm in charge of something, I don't want to use the word educate, but to get Thai people to know where they can use all these resources.
Okay.
To do this and that. I would find our funding for the media to go into all different directions to make clips on YouTube, messages and such and features and such to tell Thai people how to go about things. Because I think the people sometimes need some samples.
Okay.
Oh, it's easy to do this. Like many years ago, I produced one TV show before I entered politics, and we tried to use a big camera like this, but a big camera like this, and then try to capture how, let's say in Bangladesh, how they put products on the shelves. So the Thai people here in a factory in Thailand can see, all right, if a product would go, they can imagine, you see, when they see it. We have to do more and more and more of that.
Before we end the show and ask you the last questions, so what would you like to see in the overall picture of our Thai politics? Because people might say that right now we stop the color racing right now. We have no longer against each other, whether it's a red or yellow or anything. But maybe, there are some people that think that they need to be, divide people or cut some people away.
I would hope, but I think it would be a hopeless hope.
Hopeless hope.
I
So
think
it's not ending yet.
I like no. For the political coloring, I think it is fine. It's getting in the right shape. But what I'm saying, the hopeless hope is, I like people to be less emotional about things. You see,
That's difficult.
it's difficult. Try not to take political conflicts a personal one.
Yeah.
I don't know whether it
I
would
see your point.
happen, but you see, the two of us, for example, can have conflict over ideas, but we don't have to be enemies. You see,
Yes.
we don't have to hate each other. We don't have to try to hurt each other. I can make my peace, you can make your peace, and then to see how it goes. Maybe the third person will decide for us.
Yes.
I hope that would happen.
Okay. Hopeless hope.
Calm conversation.
Okay.
Hope that it's not a hopeless hope.
And the questions of our show that I would ask any guest who's sitting here is, so what do you think is the biggest issue here in Thailand or even in the world that you think is about time to talk, about time to seriously discuss?
I have to be a little philosophical about it, if you don't mind.
Sure.
I would say, I think the most challenged thing or the most damaging thing in Thai society is the feeling of not wanting to know more.
You mean they stop
When
learning?
we understand, like stop learning, like the mind stopping the learning because I don't want to know more. I want to believe this. I don't want to believe that. I don't want to change my opinion. I don't want to change my allegiance to certain political groups and such. I think that's really an obstacle to the present. because you have so many things to learn, and then it's at your fingertips. You see, it's so easy to learn. So if you just have the attitude of wanting to learn, then you can change your mind overnight. You don't have to wait until tomorrow. You can change now. But the feeling of not wanting to know, of just I want to believe this, I don't want to believe anymore, I don't want to see anymore, is the biggest block. The biggest block of the learning society, which I hope that Thailand is becoming. Knowledge is power. Knowledge is happiness. Knowledge is the fact that you don't have to lie.
Okay.
I think it's good.
So I doubt that my mom will see our show. But could you please speak to those who probably over the age of 70,
All right.
and they might think that okay, why do I need to learn?
I'm closer to them than you are. So
Really?
yes,
No.
of course.
Okay, please speak something to them.
Well, I just want to say that it's a pleasure to be back in Thailand and to be in this show, of course. I love my country. I love your country, our country. I think our country is great. I came back and I get fat because of the greatness of food and, all the diversity and the prices and the locations and the size of it. You can eat at 2 in the morning. In other words, we have many good things in Thailand. But the only thing that we don't have is the coherent political relationship. In other words, we are hurting ourselves, having these conflicts. We have other good things laying around. So I hope that we could resolve all those surrounded issues and get back to the point of it all, is that we are born to this world to be happy. Not only us, but people around us. So let's, overcome something to go to there.
Thank you so much for
Thank
joining
you.
our show today. We are grateful and we are thankful to you.
Thank you.
You so much. So people, don't stop trying to learn new things and believe in our country. We still have hope to develop our country together. Until next time, stick to our show and let's guess who will be the next guest on this chair. Thank you very much for watching us today.